Simply utilizing ChatGPT will not make you a better student. It will not help you create durable learning or learning that sticks. AI is not what will make you a better student. You are the biggest part of that equation. If you want to become a better student, yes, use AI as a tool. Just like we use calculators to help us do math, do the calculators make you smarter at math? Do they make you better at math? Well, the short answer is no, they don't, but they are a very effective tool to help you get to a particular mean. So just like all the new AI tools that are out there and the GPTs, the generative pre-trained transformers, we want to use them in a way that helps us become better. And what does that entail? Well, as I initially said, you are the biggest part of that equation. So we have to use our critical thinking skills and creative thinking skills, combine that with our knowledge of psychology and learning. So I'm going to give you that during this video. We're going to learn about psychology of learning and some specific techniques. But when we combine those, when we combine our creative and critical thinking, knowledge of psychology with an AI tool, you will learn faster and you will learn more, and what you learn will stick better. And to do this, utilize your creative and critical thinking skills to use AI as an assistant. So we have to start shifting our mindset to AI being an assistant, not some big brain that's going to give me all the answers. Think of it as an assistant. And when we do this, then we're going to really unlock the power of artificial intelligence to help us learn faster, learn better, and help our learning stick. Today's video is one that I've been wanting to make for a long time because it combines three of my favorite topics: psychology, learning, and technology. And learning really falls under psychology, it falls under neuroscience, it falls under technology, falls under a whole bunch of other different topics as well. So it's really neat to take that psychological perspective, the psychology perspective, and the technology perspective to combine those two tools to help you learn better, to help you learn faster, because a lot of people are working really, really hard. You're probably working really, really hard to learn stuff, but you know what? Time is finite. So we want to be able to take back some of our time. So utilize these tools such as AI to help us learn faster, make it stick better, so create durable learning, and then give us that time back so we can spend with our family, our friends, whatever it may be. So I'm looking forward to this video. So let's get started. And the way we're going to jump in is I'm going to show you using ChatGPT 2 specific ways that you can take home today to become a better learner, to help learning stick, to reduce your study time so you have free time to do other things, or to even tack on more studying if that's the season that you're in, to study. That is okay. So utilize these two strategies using ChatGPT or any GPT that you like to reduce your study time, increase your durable learning, and hopefully increase your free time as well, because it's important to be able to have that free time. And the two strategies are going to be, first, prediction, and then recall using ChatGPT for both of those. And then once I show you the process within ChatGPT, then I'll explain how it works within your brain to help you lower that study time, to increase that durable learning. So it's really a two-part. First part, we're going to show you exactly how to do it, give you prompts, everything else, and then show you how it is working inside your brain. Here we are in ChatGPT 3.5. You can actually use ChatGPT 4 or any other GPT to do exactly what you're going to do right now, what I'm going to do right now, and that is to predict. When we predict, we're creating the environment within our mind, within our brain, to be able to absorb and code and connect what we're about to learn with our past experience, with our previous experience and previous knowledge. So that is a huge benefit, because once we connect it to networks that are already created, it sticks better, faster. So in other words, when we connect on what we're going to learn with our previous experience, we're then more quickly able to actually learn it and then actually use it in a creative way to solve complex issues. And that really is the deal. So let's go and do an exact example right now. So here I say, act as a tutor for my Psych 620 Behavioral Assessment, Modification, and Management course. Today is my first day in the course, and my goal is to have a conversation with you to help me predict the content I will be learning in this first week. The title for the first week is Understanding the Basics of Behavior. Your role is to further the conversation by asking questions to help me reflect on what I think I will learn and help me connect to my previous experience. Start by asking me a question. So there's some really critical parts and pieces in there. In other words, I'm giving the GPT the context and expectations of the conversation. So I set it up. I thought, okay, it's going to be on a behavioral assessment modification management course. This is the first week. Ask me questions, continue with a conversation, and that is critical. Just like a human assistant, if we don't give it specific directions, context, and expectations, they're not going to know what to do either. So why would we think that a machine that's not as intelligent as a human be able to read our minds when people can't? So let's see what it comes up with. Let's go ahead and dive in. It's going to think, certainly. Let's start by exploring what you already know about the basics of behavior. What comes to mind when you think about this topic? How do you think it might relate to the field of psychology in your course specifically? Oh, okay. So it's kind of diving in deep already, right? So if I had one with a microphone, I would click the microphone. I'd actually have a conversation back and forth with it. But in 3.5, we don't. So I'll say, so I think we will explore habits and how to create or modify habits. Let's see what it says. Oh, that's a great prediction. Understanding habits and how they can be created or modified is a key aspect of behavior assessment of modification. Have you had any previous experience with studying habits or behavior modification? Say, oh, yes, in my sports psychology work, we often look at how to modify specific, am I spelling that correctly? Performance behaviors. Okay, boom. Didn't mean to put a slash. Oh, that's valuable experience. Can definitely relate to the concepts you'll be learning in Psych 620. Sports psychology, you likely worked with athletes to modify behaviors that impact their performance. In Psych 620, you'll likely delve deeper into the principles behind behavior modification, including the theories and techniques used to understand and change behavior. Do you think your sports psychology experience will give you a head start in understanding these concepts? Now, see what it did there? It really affirmed my experience, and then it said connected with what it thinks it's going to happen in 620, then ask me about it. So this whole process is an amazing conversation, and it's opening me up. So I'll say something like, I am not sure if it will help. It will help. It's my hope that some of the content will match what I previously learned. Whoops. If I could type, I previously learned. And then it's going to give me a response to this one in some way. Oh, it's understandable to be unsure as a context of behavior modification, sports psychology may differ from the broader understanding of behavioral assessment. And it goes on. However, your experience will likely provide you with a solid foundation. So are there specific theories or techniques for work that you might align with what you'll be learning? Say, ooh, behaviorism. Whoops. If I could type, we'd get it. So behaviorism is one that we work with. I work with all the time. Let's see what it says. So maybe I'm off the mark. Maybe. I don't know. But it's going to say, oh, that's fantastic. Behaviorism is a foundational theory in psychology. So what it's doing now is it gave me a little bit more information about behaviorism, and it's helping me connect to 620. So this conversation can keep going. Right now, I think I've had enough Well, that didn't sound right. I've had enough. No, right now I think it's got me to a point where, hey, I'm ready. Now I'm primed and ready to go look at the content within the course, because we should do this predicting prior to even looking at what the content is. And this back and forth conversation has helped me to prepare what I am going to learn. So now let's learn a little bit more about why this matters. What happens in the brain. So why do we care about predicting and how it works? Well, predicting is pretty cool because it helps your brain get into a state of what we call brain plasticity. So in other words, it's more receptive to the content that you're going to be taking in. In this case, we looked at Psych 620, behavioral modification and assessment, and we started doing some predictions, some active learning predictions with the back and forth with the AI model, the Chat GPT 3.5 that we were using. And that set us up. So now we're more ready to take in this new content and then connect with our previous experience. So how does that work? Well, you may have heard of Hebb's Law or Hebbian learning. And it basically says that neurons that fire together wire together. And what does that mean? When we think about memories, when we think about anything with our mind, it's electrical signals within our brain. That's what it is. Some people will tell you that it's within our entire nervous system, because our brain is part of the nervous system. So when we have previous learning, that means that these neurons that fire to these transmitters have a lot more neurons that are firing and a lot more receptors that are catching. So in other words, we've created networks within our brain. And if we can create some brain plasticity, this new content will now stick better in when it's connected with those current networks that we have, because those networks are already big. Because remember, neurons that fire together wire together. So now we're going to be taking this new content, connecting it in a way with content that we already have, and that's going to help it glue or stick better. So in other words, we're going to connect the new knowledge that we have that only has a few neurons firing. We're going to learn next how to make more neurons fire, but we just have a few of them there. But when we connect it to that larger network, it's going to have an easier time to turn into that durable learning. So it's really called consolidating memories. And we live in a process of what we call memory potentiation. So we make our memories, and each time we access memories, we return back to that plastic state. So when we predict, we're actually thinking about our previous experience. Did you see how AI, the Chat GPT, was asking me about my previous experience? And as I remember them, then I'm taking that memory through a process of reconsolidation again, and that's putting my mind into that state of into that plastic state, if you will. So I'm more willing to accept new information. So it's not a hack whatsoever. That's just kind of how we work. So that is the first step. Let's get into the second step, which is recall. ChatGPT and the other GPTs give us an amazing opportunity to practice our recall. And why is that important? Because we're going to be making pathways. We'll get into the specifics later. But for right now, let's practice recalling specific information. And we're going to do this through an active learning quiz. So I'm going to work with ChatGPT, in this case 4, and I'm going to ask it to ask me questions. I respond, then it gives me the correct answer and feedback about why it is the correct answer. And we'll get into the importance of that in a moment. But for right now, let's just look at how ChatGPT works to be able to do that. And really the beauty of this is that I have my prompt here, act as a tutor for Psych 620. So we're back in our behavioral assessment modification management course, and I'm in the first week still. So if I was in the second week, I'd say second week. So remember, we have to still give that context and the expectations that we want ChatGPT to work within. And your role, so the role of ChatGPT, is to ask me multiple choice questions on the topic of basic behaviors, then pause until I give an answer, then give me an answer, I should say the answer, then give me the correct answer, right? We want to be explicit, correct answer, a short explanation of why it is the correct answer. Do it 4 times. So I'm going to ask it 4 times. And this is important because when I get these questions, I'll then respond. And even if I get it wrong, that's fine. It's going to give me the new information. So even if you do this before you're doing any learning with the content, you are going to be able to really be a rock star with your study techniques and your study strategies. So let's see what Chat GPT 4 says. And I'm specifically using 4 because we have this upload or this attach piece. You can attach documents and such to this if it is ethically acceptable. So it's going to ask me the first question. Which of the following best describes the concept of behavior in the context of behaviorism? Oh, so behaviorism, only actions that are observable and measurable. Any internal thought or feeling. So is behavior a thought? I don't think so. Only actions that are influenced by the environment, any physical or mental activity, regardless of observability. I'm going to go with A on this one. Let's see. What is my answer? Correct. The answer is A. Only actions that are observable and measurable. In behaviorism, behavior is typically defined as any action that can be observed and measured. This emphasis on observable behavior is a key aspect of the behaviorist approach. So I'm already learning. This is micro learning, if you will. So I answered. It gave me a response. And let's see, what is the primary focus of behavior modification? Ooh, understand the unconscious mind, change observable behavior, exploring the genetic basis of behavior, or analyze the structure of the brain. Sounds like it would be to change observable behavior, since we're talking about behavior modification and from a behaviorist approach we just saw, but I want to get this one wrong. So let's see if it is analyzing the structure of the brain. Let's go with D. Dun, dun, dun. And D. Actually, the correct answer is B, changing observable behavior through the use of learning principles. Behavior modification is a technique used in behaviorism that focuses on changing or modifying behavior by applying principles of learning such as reinforcement and punishment. So you see how it didn't scold me, it didn't admonish me for getting it incorrect, but it did put me on the right path. Why is this important? Because this right here, once it gave me this answer, wow, that is powerful learning, because it just gave me what is the primary focus of behavior modification. And then it told me, and it gave it to me in a really small chunk. So it's actually chunking the learning for me as well. Then it went ahead and gave me another question, which is fantastic. Question 3. So hopefully that this will, we won't go through all of them. When you utilize this tool, when you utilize ChatGPT as a tool to quiz yourself and help with recall of information, guess what happens? You start to create a pathway, and what happens when we walk across that pathway multiple times? Well, I'm going to tell you next. Utilizing ChatGPT to create active learning recall type of scenarios, such as we did with a simple quiz where it gave us feedback immediately. So it created micro learning for us in the same time that it was telling us if we were right or wrong. One thing that people tend to like about GPTs and such is they don't judge. They're not judgmental. And you notice I got one wrong and I wasn't judged for it. So actually the right answer is, and then it just moved forward and gave me a good response on why it was the right answer. And that's important for us, because think of your memories like, or the content memory, think of it like a path. So you're walking across a field that no one's walked on before, and you walk across the field. Well, you're going to see a path that you took. And now if you walk back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, that path is going to get more and more pronounced. Just like our memories, if we utilize things like quizzing and active recall where we're actively engaged in the process. So passive learning, like just simply reading and such, does not create that pathway. But when we do active learning, active recall, it does. It creates a stronger pathway so we can then recall it quicker. And why is that important? You might say, oh, well, that's just remembering. Well, yeah, you have to be able to remember something in order to utilize it in a creative way to solve complex issues. And that is the big reason why we want to do simple things like that micro learning that we just did with Chat GPT, because it helped to create that pathway in the brain. Because remember, the prediction that helped connect it to the larger networks, and now when we go over it again and again, it's further cementing or further making that connection. Because remember, we have our brain in this plastic state, its plasticity state, and we're more susceptible to taking on new content. So that is hugely important. So if you like this type of content, give us a like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you want to know more, because those are just first two steps. We can go over how to read documents quickly and easily in order to recall, in order to learn the content within the document faster, and it's more active learning techniques as well. So if this is something you like, please let us know in the